How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to TEXAN Tailgate, episode 33. We're going to be unpacking just so many different events that have been coming down, trying to decide, is it a coincidence? Is it a concurrence? Well, a lot of times it's best to let people make up their own minds when it comes to that. But first and foremost, just want to reach out to the people in the Philippines who recently experienced a very traumatic, powerful earthquake. Want to make sure everybody over there is doing okay, and our sincerest regards out to the Ophir team. And with no further ado, we're going to bring out everybody. Crypto Compassion, David Lee,
Yes.
Hexy Quinn, and we do have a surprise guest tonight joining us, Identity Block. Nice to have you on, man.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Anytime, man. Thank you for being here. And how's everybody doing? How's everybody feeling tonight?
It's pretty cool to see Bitcoin topping, getting past 40K. That's pretty cool. And of course, it's bringing up a lot of the other markets. I know that some of our community is a little sour, but our time's coming for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. And definitely got some ETFs coming around the corner soon. And we all know what that means. And it's just, also keep hearing that might have some nice Fed rate cuts, I think 2024 years. So, things can't be down forever. So eventually, things do get better and we move on. But yeah, it's been a really interesting week. Got to see liquid loans finally launch. So that's really great for the community. Give people an option other than just selling. Seeing the highest of stakes come to a lot of different streaming platforms. A lot of people that didn't get the chance to see it in the movie theaters can now see it. I believe Apple, and I think there's a couple other platforms, streaming services it's going to come to. So that's really good. And we got things going on with the Texas nationalist movement. I mean, it's just seems like so many things just happening and coming down at the one time. And sometimes it's just like, man, I need to take a moment to catch my breath and just kind of refocus.
Yeah, I need to catch up on everything for sure. Work keeps me out of the loop.
Yeah, no, definitely. And how are you doing tonight, David?
Good evening, all the legends in the chat. IDB, it's an honor, sir. Appreciate you joining us. It's been a little while, and I'm excited to be back. And especially at these times, it's December. We're winding down the year, and I love that thumbnail you guys did the confluence and the timing, and every week, right? We used to wait for some of these news items, this caliber, monthly. We're getting it almost daily, especially if you're into the independent news sources and outside the mainstream media, right? I mean, it's crazy. Just out, speaking of Texas, between, the TNM turning in the required number of signatures to get on the referendum on the ballot. Then you also had A.G. Paxton suing some, pharmaceutical companies for poisoning children. Not holding back on the language. That's the thing, right? People are, not holding back because, well, the other guys are friggin' psychos, right? Psychotic. But yeah, it's good to be in. It's good to be here on Sunday night, and I'm still grooving from the opening a little bit.
Absolutely. And I'm going to take a moment, say hello to chat. We got Godfather J6. God bless y'all. Got free speech. I came across this article and thought you guys, TEXIT progress, secession question expected to appear on the 2024 Texas primary ballot. That's always awesome. Getting further along, we got John May peace be with you all. God bless. Oh, we got Crypto Compassion, of course, because he's right here with us. Thank you for being here with us tonight. Always appreciate having you in here. Ooh, we got Rags. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Dang.
Little bit of a misspelling. So always good to see you in here. Ramon, got Hex Glenn, Godfather J6 again. So yeah, thank you everybody for being here with us tonight. It's always good to come together and kick it, just relax environment, positive vibes, just kind of see what's going on in the pulse chain ecosystem. And I mean, we're still bearish, but it is transitioning, it is shifting, and still got a lot of good amount of time left to get some great DCA opportunities. But yeah, thank you so much everyone for being here.
what's going on with you there, IDB, in your neck of the woods?
Not much. It's been,
Yeah.
I guess, like recently trying to look if they're gonna pass some new bill here in the last few days of the year. There's some rumors as usual, but then nothing concrete. At the start of the year, they were talking about passing like stable coins. They've been talking about passing all kinds of stuff from Ward Davidson, Elizabeth Warren. But I'm just concerned because in 2021 they did something like that, and then at the end of November they ended up passing like crypto bills in the middle of infrastructure proposals and that type of stuff. So I always try to be wary of that because you never know. They might say that they're giving you money on one side and then they're taking the other or something. You know how that goes. So
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah,
like
Sorry.
the 1913 slipping in the old Federal Reserve on Christmas Eve. It's like why why we're all distracted with Christmas and stuff like that. They kind of slip in these little bills that really shake up the
Between
rest of it.
Christmas and New Year's Eve, you got to watch them.
there you
You
go.
got to watch
Yep.
them. I mean,
Middle
even
of
I
the night.
remember one of the Obama years, an NDA, a National Defense Appropriations, that had some just atrocious, crazy shit. When they started really hunting the anyone with like Patriot, remember that, the IRS, they suck the IRS on you. You had Patriot in any of your business or organization or anything.
Yeah, you get put in a list.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got put on a list. I mean, how many lists do you think we are all on?
I'm in probably a few lists.
A couple.
Yeah,
I think they need to be
Yeah, you
more
can't say
concerned about
anything
being on
now
my
on Twitter.
list.
Hexy, I think you're on the naughty list for Christmas here.
I'm on a couple lists.
Speaking of naughty list, because of just practicing your right of freedom of speech, everyone don't forget Rags is moving over to on Rumble. I don't know if you guys have been checking out Graham Moore and the English Constitution Society on Rumble. There's energy there because there's freedom. And I think we really need to support voices of freedom, people that are willing to have drawn the line in the sand, right? I mean, was Elon epic this week or what? Who else got fired up by Elon?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. What was it? GF. Oh,
Let's go
why?
fuck yourself.
Yeah, I know what he said, but then he
That's
gave the acronym. He's like sitting there like being typical Elon, just kind of like GFY. Just yeah.
I was feeling free. Sorry, David. I know you don't want me to swear.
She just went hard.
Apologizing to the dude that was just saying practice the free speech. You know, I'm to that place where the exercise of these rights are more important, maybe. Well, just the exercise of them, period. It makes a statement, and one of the biggest one is about complying. Since 2020, we saw what happens when you comply. Nothing friggin' good.
Exactly.
So yeah, let her rip, and Rumble. We're coming to Rumble, people. TEXAN Tailgate is going to be on Rumble. Tell them, Jeff.
Yep. TEXAN Tailgate is going to be on Rumble, folks. And we're going to swear, and we're going to play music, and we're going to do whatever we want.
There you go.
Everything that you
Right,
can't do
David?
on YouTube, we're going to do it over there because we
Well,
can.
not everything.
And if you can, you should.
Yeah, the censorship campaigns from big tech, it's getting more and more ridiculous. And as we move forward and we see a lot of these freedom movements like actually start to make that progress towards, achieving these milestones, they're going to be like, oh no, we got to shut it down, because you saw just what happened with Facebook and Texas nationalist movement. It got to where the TNM had to take them to court, and it's that's just what it is. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to find a platform that does support free speech, that we can talk about these things, because the toughest conversations are the best ones to have. So, but I mean, that's what it's been. Anytime you go against the narratives in mainstream society, that's when they want to start shutting you down. And people are waking up, and more people are, like, hey, we want to get on these freedom movements. And so happy to have the English Constitution Society, people, actually seeking us out. And it's great, because this is going to continue to happen, where we just tokenize more and more, digital nations, and just help people all around the world. Because at the end of the day, we're all one. We all experience the same issues, and we all want the same thing. We all want freedom, and we're not meant to be caged up and oppressed and suppressed. So,
Well said.
Mm-hmm. So what's been going on with you, David? I mean, I know you've been going through some stuff, and hopefully things are going better. What's up with you?
Yeah, it's been, we've been really busy.
Yeah.
Between getting the house ready for sale, and Stacy's had, a couple surgeries now. We been traveling to Louisville. She's in a stage 1B study. Means it's a second human study. First
Okay.
one had 10 people. She got the last slot out of 44, and not a lot of complications or anything you wouldn't have expected from the procedures that she's had. We have a CT on the 18th that'll tell us a lot how these have gone, and on the 6th she has another procedure on her other lung. Last procedure was on the right. This one's on the left.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, hopefully things keep going this way it has, because it has been miraculous, the support from this community, and just her resilience and positive fight. That yeah, I appreciate you asking, John. I appreciate all the prayers and all the love that we get.
Yeah.
I just can't ever repay everyone for all the love, and we'll be talking more about it. But thank you. I mean, I needed to give these updates, and I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, you too. So Liquid Loans is out, and it's going to be interesting. I don't know. What do you think, IDB, as far as the impact it's going to have on Pulse Chain? I mean, it seemed like it had a little bit of a pump where, like,
Already, right?
Yeah, it seemed like some people, it just kind of went up from whatever 0.00061 to like 0.0066 there. And it seemed like people started, buying up some Pulse Chain with their, yeah.
And I noticed a nice number already locked in the billions, so that's always good. I think it was like more than 15 or so. So that's, yeah, I like that part a lot. I know I was very critical of that project, but now that they're out, I'm all in. I'm ready to see what they're about. And then, I mean, I know a lot of people were complaining about certain things, liquidity and this and that and the other, but I think it's just maybe people that were looking for a quick, like get my coins and I go to the Lambo dealership in the afternoon type situation. But anyone that's here, 3 years, 5 years, are going to use that product, and I think they're going to take really good they're going to be able to use it for their advantage. The price of pulse is down. This thing just came out down, so the price of loan is down. So I think it's going to be good. Just people need to be patient and just kind of wait till day 3, I guess, to at least give their criticism. So I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, I was watching Rags stream earlier with some of those guys on that Tech Talk or whatever it was that they were having, and they were talking about. He was talking in regards to like people kind of complaining about liquid loans only having like 40K and liquidity, and they raised all this much money, but it's like he pretty much was like saying, hey, a lot of people would just take advantage if you just put all that liquidity out there. They're just gonna, you know what I mean? They're just going to try to flip on a 2X and get out. And so the founders really are kind of nurturing that project the way they feel that's for the longevity of this, of their project in this ecosystem. So it made sense.
Oh, they'll nuke you. The VCs will nuke you. The whales will nuke you. Those people, the amplifiers, right?
Yep.
Those top 10. I know I don't think I'll sacrifice for anything that uses an amplifier ever again.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
I've 2.5. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're about at. Oh, they just got 60,000 worth of liquidity. So the thing about it is, if you put too much liquidity out there in the very beginning, people are just going to drain the pool. And they know, the first 90 to 120 days of any new project is going to have the most volatility. People who sacrifice will usually over leverage themselves to get in, and then they hold for so long, and then they just stay fixated and focused on this group of people. Okay, when's it going to launch? When's it going to launch? And the whole purpose to me of a sacrifice is like you sacrifice, you let go of it completely, and you don't expect anything back in return. Like you lose something of value. And what I personally found is that usually the first couple days after a new project launching to the first 2 weeks, a lot of times if you're just buying the token, which is let the free market, reign, you can do a lot better than you would do in a sacrifice. Sometimes it just depends. But right now, people have to be in profit in order to take a loan out. The minimum is $2,000. 1,000% collateralization would be about $20,000 worth of pulse. So it's really going to be exclusive to the whales and maybe some sharks and dolphins, but mostly whales who probably got bonus multipliers and pulse. And eventually, once we start to see a shift in the markets and the price of PLS come up, I think the protocol will be accessible to a lot more people. So right now, it's kind of like an exclusive thing to whales. That's how I see it. But I think it's good. I would rather see people take out a loan than just dump all the time. Give people options. Oh, we got Crypto Heartbeat in here. So giving a shout out.
What's up, Heartbeat? Thank you, brother.
Close,
Man,
but
come on in here.
Right?
Yeah, we got.
And I think that the one that they have coming up with Power City, that one's going to have a lower entry point, right, than the liquid loans one. So that might help too.
Yes.
Yeah, they're going to have the earn protocol, which is pretty much the same thing, except you can take a loan bar out against your PLSX, and then they'll have the PXDC PulseX dollar coin. And
the minimum, Robert, like 500.
That one will be 500.
There you go. That's what I heard. There you go.
So that one will be more accessible to a lot more people, and it'll, again, give people options. So
cool.
So
well, excellent. Yes, I have been thinking that these were one of the missing pieces that we needed to just seem, more seamless functionality, and Coast was a huge thing with the component of that, and can't even imagine some of the goodies that are out there being developed, right?
Oh, there's a bunch.
And we keep seeing the IPFS hosting for Hex and Pulse Chain Bridge, and basically go to the website, download the code, run it yourself. So Starting to see
Okay,
a lot.
can we drop a little alpha, kind of like internal alpha, not internal alpha, but what's got you juices flowing?
There you go.
That freedom swap's being developed while we're watching this module out, with this evolution. These guys come out and so Rags and Matt, right? All these goodies are being thought of and game theoried and put in. I can't wait for freedom swap. Tie all these communities together. Y'all, if you ain't getting into Texan, I'm just saying, you can, everything that the work and what's happening in Texas, what's happening in the world, you're talking about a confluence. Just saying. Sorry.
Oh man, get it out of your system.
Seriously, I know, right?
Where do good people go, huh?
To not give financial advice, but it's just like, I just want to scream, like, you guys, like, do not miss this opportunity, like with Texan and anything Matt and Brandon are doing, because we're gonna do big things.
Ophir, every token in the community are going to be tied in, supporting all the right reasons. That's what
I like to imagine that Matt and ZZ Tesco are like Pinky and the Brain. Like, what are we gonna do today, Brain?
Take over the world.
Matt, you're not Brain. Like, I gotta give that to ZZ. I don't think you're insane either. So, but yeah.
Okay, we just had to leave you hanging there for a little bit of cringe silence. Sorry.
Are we not used to that on this show yet?
I don't know. I think we were in the green room 30 seconds before you flipped me off for the first time.
Was that only the first time?
Well, it sounds like we're keeping score now.
No. She's the one that's going to remind me about this in 5 years, not me. I'm going to go, what the hell are you talking about, woman?
That's how I'm going to greet you every time I see you. You give hugs, I flip birds. That's how it goes.
Perfect. That's perfect. Especially if you drew them from your hip, from like a holster. You were pretending, right? I mean, because it is Texan.
No. I'm too cool for that. That's how you could do it. That's how Rags' gift does it.
If you were pretending it was a Walker revolver, you would have to do it in a very exaggerated manner. That's a little Texan history. Y'all have to check out on your own, or tune in to one of the Rumble streams and ask me about it, where we can talk about anything.
There you go.
Yep.
You can talk about anything. I'll talk about some things. How about that?
That'll work.
So, David, what's going on with the TNM? Is we have enough signatures for the petition to get the referendum on the ballot? How are they doing in that regard?
Considering the drawers that are being crapped in Austin this weekend, I'm kind of hesitant to go beyond saying that, even though they do have, let's put it this way, they met every legal requirement that the RNC puts up for getting on the ballot. So if the RNC wants to go fight, well, PNM already went to war with Meta, right? They don't really care how big you are. They're going to go to war for you to stand up for what's right. But it looks like they're trying. Let's wait for Monday to see what happens. But they're trying to rug pull them. If you're a Texan in Texas, it wouldn't be a bad way to try to find a way to voice some support through your representative or something, because, there were 2 planks in the party platform calling for this referendum. So the party has a really hard time saying that they don't want to do it, considering they set the standards, right, what you need to meet, and they've been met. So maybe hopefully Monday we'll know a little bit more, because I guarantee you they're trying to pull some shenanigans this weekend. Over the weekend they always pull. We've already they pull shenanigans over the weekend, so you're not paying attention. And we'll see. Maybe Mr. Kemp. Maybe CHB will have an update with Mr. Kemp or something. I don't know. We'll find out. But yeah, Mr. Kemp will give us an update, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. Any time you're rattling the cage going against the system, and I mean, you're going to get pushback, and that's just the way it is. And I mean, when you think about the actual concept and idea of Texas leaving the Union and becoming its own independent nation, it really kind of puts the message out there. It's like, well, if they did it, why can't we do it too? And it's a loss of power, and it's a loss of financial, so
I have all the faith in the world in Daniel Miller.
oh yeah,
I got to spend some more time with him, and the dude is so well read. He's so smart. I'm sure that they already had multiple steps beyond this. I'm sure they grafted out in possibilities, and we'll see if when you start thinking about the alternatives, if it goes to court, well, it's just going to get more PR,
mm-hmm.
And they're going to probably lose anyway. So,
yeah,
it's Daniel, I think, is one of those ones that's safe to say it. And it was a quote that came to mind last night. And Otto von Bismarck, we're talking about the formation of nations. So we're unleashing powers that are on nation level, right? Otto von Bismarck was the Iron Chancellor of Prussia who through in 11 years' time unified Germany, right? 1871, Germany's unified. And he said, politics is not a science, it is an art. And there are people dancing tonight, this last weekend in Austin, people, I'm telling you, trying to paint the picture they want to become our reality. And they're always painting that picture. Save some of this for Rumble, shouldn't I, Jess?
Sure.
That's what it's going to be like over there. I'm telling you, people. I'm just warning you.
You always have plenty to say, David. I don't think you need to hold back anything.
And I think it's the time where people shouldn't be holding back. If you really are, if you really want to see a world that's more of the kingdom versus the world that is what we're seeing, the same back to that confluence of timelines and pressures, and if you don't stand now, you're probably not going. Your kids aren't going to have a chance.
Yeah. If we don't stand for something, we will fall for anything. And it's actually good that you get the pushback and you get the some of these things get drug out a little bit, because it just gives people more of an opportunity to find out about what's going on. Similar to Richard Hart, with the SEC. So I mean, it's sometimes the things that they initially, like what their true intention is to cause as much damage and FUD as possible, sometimes it will work against them. It's like, you're actually giving them PR, and people love it when you fight with the man and you go round and round. And so, you gotta, I was always told a long time ago, just pick your battles and pick wisely, because there's so much of our time and energy we give to things that are not worth fighting over. And then the things we do fight over, it's like, no, we need to be focused on the class war, not at each other's throats. We need to, be looking to change our situations. But that's the thing, is by design, if you get people at each other's throats and that's where you have them 24/7, then that's why, the more things change, the more they remain the same. That's where you get more of that.
And the SEC's been getting they have a streak of losses now, and now they're actually getting judges against them too when they're noticing that apparently for a while they were just presenting anything. They would just kind of go to court and say, "Hey, I have a case against this exchange," and freeze their account because I say so. So that part, it started to get a bit scary because I know a little bit there. Coinbase had said no to that. Kraken had said no to that. But then every other exchange was just going away, just going with that. So just they would get a call from someone in governments, or it could be probably some bureaucrat, and then just say, freeze this account, do this and the other, and then however many people, or what happened in Canada with the truckers, or it could get serious. So I hope people are paying attention because it's very serious.
Yeah, and we've we've seen for a long time that the writing is on the wall. The centralized exchanges are, the biggest targets. Government is going to pick winners and losers. And honestly, I mean, maybe this is me with my tinfoil hat on, but I feel like a lot of these centralized exchanges were by design to have these catastrophic failures in place, because it's, you've heard of like the problem reaction solution. The same people that create the problem are there to step in and sell you the solution.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, okay, well, oh my God, look at all these people who are losing all these money and, getting, caught in these awful situations. We need more regulation. But you notice how
Right.
every time these centralized exchanges get penalized, none of the money goes out to the actual victims. And then at the end of the day, you still don't have
Exactly.
clarity. So it's like,
Oh no.
so
And
hopefully,
this is because, like you said, it is by design. Like in 2021 in November, when they approved that infrastructure bill, it almost incentivized the exchanges to do that, because the main thing that it was changing, it was the reporting portion. And then whenever they started sending me all these notifications, at least from the Treasury, to start requesting 1099. At that point, they were asking to request 1099Bs, B as in Bravo. But then now they've changed, so now it's like Delta Alpha. So it's like 1099s DAs. And I remember telling them, I'm not going to do this. Like, I can't do this. You're requesting all this information from my DeFi clients, and I don't think that that's the way to do it. Like, they should be able to, or at least based on the code as it is right now, they should be able to decide when they want to sell, and they want to have their sales in disposition, and if they even want to pay taxes. That's even a completely different discussion. But then the way they were doing it, I could tell, because I had given some workshops to like the tax authority in Spain. And when we did those workshops in 2019, they kind of flipped it in a different way, where they were doing taxation at the start of it. So it was almost like the second that you sell, they would automatically remove the funds directly out of your withdrawal. So if your percentage was 5%, 7%, and you remove $100 out of a Coinbase, let's say, then they give you $93. And I think that's ridiculous, because at least the way it's here, if you were to sell here in a month, so the first week of January, then you don't pay taxes till April of 25. And I mean, that's a benefit. I have a lot of clients that they can then put that money to work, and then for a year and something, they're using it to their advantage. And I kind of keep yelling at everyone to be aware of that, because I think that's what they're going to do here too. Like, they're going to try to flip it where um I mean, I think it's happening. Like, I could tell some of the changes that they're trying to implement this week, and they're trying to hide it into this whole wealth tax, and trying to hide it under unclaimed unrealized gains. But then I really think that what's happening is that they're going to try to just flip the tax code. And as Compassion was mentioning about the 1913, it's like all to help us, and then it's like, whoops, like, psych, like, and then they'll try to do it in a way where it's like, oh, it's going to be so more convenient, because now Coinbase, or the brokers, they get to report, hey, what's up, RB? They get to
Matt.
report for you. So
What's up?
so Matt, you weren't waiting back there long, were you?
No, just about 35, 40 minutes, something like that. No.
All right, I'm fired. Good night.
Identity blocks on TEXAN Tailgate. What's up, man?
Oh, good. Oh, good.
Great to have you. It's so great.
Thank you.
And
Truly
Quinn,
an
always
epic
nice to
stream.
see you.
Hey, Matt, I was getting ready to.
Ready to what?
Aw. I was getting ready to ask a question, and your timing was perfect.
All right, come on.
Now, considering the increase in interest rates and the effect that it's having on the service of the debt, when we close this year out, and it's greater than the defense budget, I'm just. What do you guys think? Will it trigger anything? I guess I should say at this point, right? They can play games and they corrupt data that they report to us, but it just seems like we're nearing a point with that service on the debt. I guess I should have said just service on the debt.
Who you asking?
All of y'all. Your timing was perfect to maybe be the first one to take it. Yeah, over $1 trillion. Is that insane or what?
Well, I mean, if you don't have the money, you have to find it. And so they find it by printing it. So, I mean, there's not really many options. You know, Raoul Pal talks about how this is already priced in. You know, all the money that was given away and all the money that was printed and all the debt that was extended during the Charlie 19 is just coming home to roost. And if you can't cover those debt payments, you're going to have to print money. And so, I mean, that's good in some respects for us because I think it just juices the economy and we get, you know, the bull run. But, you know, inflation goes crazy. And, you know, we just have unrest everywhere. What I'm seeing is Texas independence is it's like the absolute perfect timing. If you see what's happening in Argentina and the Netherlands, I mean, they got 2 new leaders that have crazy hair, both of them. And this is, I think it's going to sweep the world, actually. And so people have no idea, you know, the Republicans are fighting this. It's, I really hope they actually challenge the petition and it has to go to the Texas Supreme Court because we need to get as much press as we possibly can. But I mean, it's good for TEXAN token, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you always talk about it, Matt, as far as that transfer of wealth. And, you know, it's one, like you said, it's good for us on one hand, and it's bittersweet on the other hand, as far as what it means to our grandchildren, right?
Yeah.
And exactly for what we're fighting for. So,
yeah, I think it's, you know, it's everything's got to be pushed over the edge. You know, people are more willing to suffer than change. And so if you don't have extremes, you don't have change. And, you know, it's just going off a cliff. And in a way, so be it. Let's not try to, let's let it go off the cliff. Because the alternative, you know, the next thing is going to be the CBDCs. So how are they going to get you to adopt that? Likely another health scare, or what the World Economic Forum is planning, which is a massive cyber attack. I mean, they've already warned of that's the next big thing. And so, you know, they'll give you your money via government wallet. But there's a lot that's happening right now, and I feel like we're going to have some alternatives. Obviously, that's what we're banking on. But it's funny. I on Twitter, since the petition news came out, people are. It's crazy how many people think that they get their rights from the state. It's nuts. I mean, they literally think they're subject to a sovereign government and they get their rights from the state. And those people, I mean, we're fighting for them too, even if they are idiots.
Well said. Yeah, a lot of people just don't stand up, don't do anything, and then that's why all these rules get approved, and then everyone's like, "Oh, well, we voted for this person," and then like they just think that they can't do anything, and yeah, they need to stand up, do something about it.
Well, I mean, think about what's going to come out of this next election cycle. If people actually believe that the election was not rigged, you know, this next one, I mean, Biden, in my opinion, is not going to be running. It's going to be Gavin Newsom and Trump. And so if, in fact, people don't have confidence in this election, that's it. I mean, it's game over for the U.S., in my opinion. Now, if Trump wins, I have a feeling that things kind of get extended, but I can't imagine. I mean, the folks, the powers that be, especially the California machine, this is going to be a crazy 2 years. I mean, absolutely crazy. We may see, Texas independence. We may see things across the world get crazy. But the good news is we're at the right place at the right time with tokenizing these communities. I mean, to me, this is it's crazy. When we first started this, none of this was happening. So this is big.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride for you, Matt, in regards to, you started streaming, and you're like the first, kind of pulse chain content creators that I latched onto, and things just, went off, and you and ZZ and Rag started putting together these awesome plans in regards to freedom, and it's been a wild ride for you, I'm sure.
It has, and you don't even know the first of it, because there's stuff we can't talk about.
Right.
That when we do, if we get a chance to do what we're planning, and the only thing I say is, our goal is to bring a tremendous amount of liquidity into DeFi. I'll just leave it at that. I mean, bring big money into DeFi, locked liquidity, because that's the only way people are going to trust it, in my opinion. I mean, that's the core problem we have, and obviously adoption and ease of use, but there's a lot of turmoil in the community. I mean, all the FUD with liquid loans, and I mean, everything that's going on in the community right now. I think there's a lot of fearful people, to be honest with you. And I don't know that it gets, better, but I think that there's a lot of people building, and there's a lot of things that, how long did we wait for liquid loans? I mean, a long time. They were the first to come out and do a sacrifice. I mean, we're going to be seeing some things come, and I'm curious what you guys think. Is there ever a point in the future when the 600 million of DAI actually comes over to the Pulse chain? After SEC stuff is over, I cannot imagine Richard letting it languish.
That was a good question. Is like right after the SEC, because I know that the ETH, we were always waiting for the ETH from the flush address to come back. But back then there was no SEC case. So I think that if the SEC finally, decides to give some type of penalty or whatever they do, I don't know what they'll do, but imagine if they just do like a ratio, just like they did with EOS or something like that, where, EOS got that 20, I think it was like 23, 24 mil. And then the rest, I'm assuming it would be free for whatever. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think you could get charged a second time.
Well, you were streaming about Debtbox, who literally the judge is going to charge the SEC, and potentially there'll be damages. I mean, that's a good sign. Potentially he's just holding out until, he has a chance to win, I suppose. But yeah, there's a lot that's in limbo right now, and it's hard to determine, what's that catalytic point, because I remember the early days of Hex, and it was, I mean, I came in just before Big Payday, and I mean, it dumped like crazy after Big Payday, and it was sideways for a while. And it's like, I feel like I've learned so much over the last 2 years, especially with launching TEXAN and Ophir, about the games that happen behind the scenes and how price is protected, how basically these things grow. And it's very, very difficult to do anything in the face of a headwind, like a bear market. You've got to have momentum in order to really push things. And I remember how many times Richard would say, the floor is lava. Well, there's a reason the floor was lava and Hex was green. And you got to have money in order to be able to promote things through the chart. And I've learned a lot of lessons, and we're just not in that time yet where, you could pump momentarily, but you got to wait until you catch the wave. I mean, it's a lot like surfing, honestly. You got to see the swell, And then once you got an opportunity, then you got to ride it.
Get ready.
And if you look at that chart, it was protected all the way through that run. And that's an important part of the process that we haven't approached yet.
I think you hit the nail on the head, Matt, as far as we understand that Richard has a very long time frame mindset, and he's very patient. And in regards to that war chest, if you will, I think he knows the forecast and knows how to, read things. He always talks about, hey, I called the top, and you know what? He knows when the bottom's coming too. And he's not going to cast his pearls before swine, if you will, in that regards of just like letting things go too early. And he's going to let other people trickle in. He's allowing people to establish that base and for us to DCA and get that opportunity, and SEC will probably fall by the wayside, and we'll move forward.
Well, I'm gonna celebrate the day when he comes back streaming. It's gonna be. I'm very bullish on eHex, to be honest with you. I really think that Hex on Ethereum is going to do well, and I think Hex across the board is going to do well, but it's going to take time. I think you're right. I mean, if a bunch of liquidity came into the Pulse chain, people would cash out. I mean, there's a ton of people who would literally just take their money off the table. So, yeah, we got to be in this zone for a while, but we're used to waiting. We're good at that.
Mm-hmm.
All I've ever known since I got into crypto back in July of 2021 is bear market, hodl. When the chips are down, community will be at each other's throats. I mean, just so many things. I mean, the bear market is honestly, it's the best time for opportunities and building a position for yourself. And when I came into crypto around July of 2021, I was coming in towards the end of the bull run, and I didn't know what I was buying, or I was just like, woo, I got crypto now, this is awesome. And then I look back on it later, I'm like, man, that DCA really sucks. But the longer you stick with this and the more you learn, the better you get. And once you understand the game that you're coming into, that this is a cycle. And, in order to get what you want and win and succeed, so you have to play other people's game. You have to adjust and adapt. And, it's things don't last forever. Things are going to get better, and it's going to be very interesting this next 2024 year. A lot of things coming down the pipeline. And the more that we are advancing and wanting our freedom, they're trying to counter and clamp down. So the more that people are waking up, you see what happened with the Charlie 19. I don't feel that they're going to be able to pull something like that off again in our lifetimes. I could be wrong, but a lot of people are basically like, you know what? We are no longer okay with authoritarianism, and we're going to do something about it. People are doing something about it, and they're trying. It's basically preserving the status quo. And people are not okay with just being okay anymore.
I'm going to be looking for indicators, the war chest being an indicator, its movement, but as far as whether they can pull off another pandemic thing again, there's a couple things I'm going to be looking at, whether people would just comply again. More people have woken up, from someone that's been awake for over 30 years. It's great seeing how many people have, but I think when the suicide rate reverses in some substantial manner, and a misery index, so to speak, where people have decided to work for a living instead of working to survive, I think that'll be a good sign. That'll be something I'm looking at. And maybe on Rumble, something we're going to try to reverse.
I love the dead air.
I know.
It's just giving me payback for earlier.
There's your karma. There's your karma, David.
Hey, it's not my show. It's not my show.
You know,
We
I
were waiting to
think,
do that
Matt,
for David.
if you show up over on the Rumble stream, we may leave you speechless.
Oh, really? All right. Right. Who's is that the new channel or?
Jess?
It's gonna be TEXAN Tailgate, but on Rumble.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
yeah.
Wheels off.
We're going to celebrate freedom by doing everything there that we can't do here.
Okay. All right.
That's not true. We are going to keep our clothes on,
Okay.
but
Fair enough.
everything else.
Else goes.
Well, you know,
Has Brandon
I've
approved
seen
this?
some streams where people jump. Did you call him? You were supposed to call him.
No. I meant on Rumble. If he's approved the Rumble stream, because I know he may show up shirtless.
Yeah. True.
Oh my God.
I just think it's good to have some alternatives and some forward planning happening now, because eventually it's going to get to the point where you're just going to run into issues. And I've had nothing but issues personally with Facebook, and then you look at YouTube and Google and all these companies with what they're anybody that's going against the mainstream narrative. People are tired of it. They've had enough. So that's why you're seeing this shift. And I remember many years ago, this was during the second half of the Obama presidency, when anti-gun legislation was just like constant. Like that's all you ever saw every single day. And a lot of the YouTubers that I would watch that had gun channels, I remember Hickok 45 and Iraq Veteran 8888 and James Yeager and all those guys. Eventually, a lot of them started getting strikes on their channels for just doing what they normally done for the longest time, and they had to
Some of them just reviews, right?
Yeah, and they had to go to full30.com. So if you wanted to watch your gun videos and gun content, that's just where we were at. And it was the government and corporations making a point that, we're going to tell you, what you can and can do, what you can and cannot say. And I've heard from people over in the UK that if you criticize the National Health Service system on Facebook or any social media, they can issue you a fine or send the bobbies to your residence to arrest you. And it's like, so it's there's a lot of places out there that have it a lot worse than we do. So people don't truly appreciate freedom until they don't have it. But the problem is we think we're free when we're really not. So that's I really feel like the Charlie 19 was a collective litmus test. Do you really want your freedom? Do you really want to be free? To the collective.
Would you say we passed or failed?
I'd say we. Well, it depends on the individuals. Most passed, a lot failed, but it's what you allow is what will continue. It's just like being in a bad relationship. What is your worth? Who are you? Where do you come from? If you bought something for $2,000 or $5,000, would you sell it for less money? So it's I think it was a really great time for us to find that internal empowerment and draw our line in the sand.
David, I also think the pass or fail kind of depends on the specific regions in which you live. I mean, I know for myself up here in the Portland, Seattle area, I would say it was a fail. If you look at the culture and you kind of put your finger on the pulse for what happened, people are still kind of in that, I'll do exactly what you tell us to do mentality. And I think that, Matt, where you're at, and specifically down in the Texas area, you might say that Austin kind of toes the line too a little bit comparative to Dallas or Houston. And that's a real specific region in which most broader parts of Texas is probably not, a little bit more outwardly, saying, hey, we're not going to take this or do that, in regards to Charlie 19. But I do know that Austin kind of does remind me a little bit of Portland in that regard. Yeah. You know what I mean? And Yep.
Totally. Yeah, well, there's a lot changing too. I mean, I think
would say.
about more. I mean, if you want to throw everything into one basket, you know, we've got boomers who are ending their reign of leadership. So that's number one.
Yeah.
We've got Gen Xers coming in who don't trust authority, and we see that in alternative media significantly, which is good. We've got these independence movements. We've got complete distrust in the bureaucracy out of control, debt out of control. I mean, there's going to be some tipping point, and that's not even to consider. I pay attention to the UFO disclosure stuff. I mean, folks, it's coming out. Like, you want to throw something into the mix that's crazy. People joked about the COVID stuff, and then they're like, well, what's next? Aliens? And yep, that's what's next. And so we're going to see some really crazy stuff. And then you mix in AI. I mean, the rate at which AI is going. I mean, everything is going to change. And I feel like there was a podcast that Tucker Carlson was just on. I think it was the Full Throttle. Is that the one it was? Or I'm not sure which one it was, but this is a tipping point, right? We're getting very close to this point where people can't handle all this chaos. They just can't. I mean, just regular people can't handle this much change. And so, things are going to have to break apart, and, it's going to be messy. It's going to be messy. I mean, it's exciting in some respects, because I think that with the money changing and with the options that we have, and people are going to just gravitate to the places where, they've got safety and security and all that. And the question, I'm really curious. So identity blocks, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Do you think that if Texas were to vote, right, the people of Texas were to vote for independence, and do you think there would ever be a time when the remaining part of the U.S. and the military under any political leadership would fire on Texas citizens?
Ooh. Wow, that's a complicated one. I hope not. I mean, that would look really, really bad. Yeah, I never even thought about that, because, like, I know Puerto Rico, we've done in the last 20 or so years, we've had like 3 referendums, but then in the island, it's been the other way around. They've been convincing the island that they want to turn into like State 51 instead of just keeping as we are right now as a Commonwealth, which for taxes we're like a property or a possession, but we have all these freedoms, because we don't pay income tax, we receive Social Security, so we pay Social Security, Medicaid. But yeah, wow, that's a complicated one. I hope not. I mean, I hope not. I hope that that everything is handled through legislation, and then everything is maintained that way. I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not too, and I don't think that would be the case. I mean, but you think about the committee meeting that happened in Austin this weekend, and the opposing side called the TNM treasonous, and it just goes to show they don't know the definition of treason. But it's interesting, from my perspective. We fought all across the world for people's right to self-determination, but when it becomes close to home, we're not supportive at all.
Right.
And it's funny,
that.
but there's such an opportunity for education though that we have in this discussion, and that's what I hope people get to understand, is that I had to argue with people on Twitter about who's sovereign, who is sovereign in this situation, you or the state, and people don't relate to that. I mean, it's interesting. Even in my household, I have to explain, hold on, who's in charge? Who created the government?
The boss? Exactly.
Yeah, and it's funny how so many people are willing to be subject to, well, the Supreme Court will decide, or the Congress will decide. When you're talking about independence, there's no authority in Congress or the Supreme Court. you are literally going it yourself. And it's interesting. I'm concerned about the deep state. I'm concerned about, these, the 3-letter organizations, and what they would potentially do, and the technologies that they have, especially with good-hearted people who want freedom, want independence, they want to do it themselves, and the kinds of things that we've done to others in the past, I could see, being done to us. So it's kind of hard, because you think of all the good things that come from Texas independence, and it's hard to imagine the things that could be, you know, um, because that there would be a very concentrated effort to undermine it. So it's gonna
Yeah,
get
I
heated
think
up,
so.
but I hope that I hope leveler heads prevail.
Me too. I think so. I mean, it's just it should. I mean, people need to understand. I mean, they have to defend against enemies, foreign and domestic.
Yeah.
I mean, things have changed. That's the way I see it. You know what I mean? You have to do something, or else everything is gonna continue. Then they'll find something new. Next year will be something new to tell us where to go, what to do. I mean, I'm seeing. I don't know how much research have you guys have been doing, but I mean, I've seen all these different things about 50-minute cities. I'm seeing like the whole CBDC, and everything seems to be, for our benefit, to help us or to protect us. And
For
yeah, I
your
don't need, I
safety.
don't need that. Right, exactly. I don't need that much protection, I think.
Yeah, I was reading in one of Brandon's newsletters for Dollar Riot. It talked about JP Chase Morgan making their own JPM stablecoin, and I was like, "Yep, there it is. It's a CBDC." So personally, I think it's going to be distributed to people like, here you go. You know, like, how do pharmaceutical companies get people hooked on their drugs? Well, you give
Yeah.
people free samples, and then once enough of it is in your system, and you build an addiction to it, it's like, okay, now I need more. So uh,
Yeah.
there's a number of ways that they could deliver it and distribute it, but at the same time, everything is going, digital. The money is changing, and you're not going to shut DeFi down. So it's just going to be interesting to see, how this all plays out. But we do need to see a separation of, financial power and political power, and the government does not need to be involved with our money. They don't have any business telling you what you can and
Right.
can't do with your family as far as that goes. It's I had some really great mentors in life, and one person in particular told me, if you don't take the government back at least once every 10 years, it is going to become tyrannical on steroids. Like,
Yeah.
you have to put them back in their place and be like, you people are here for us, not the other way around.
Well,
So,
when you see things like they're willing to kill a president, I mean, we pretty much have confirmed now that the CIA did that.
exactly.
I mean, you just imagine. I mean, the long line of bodies. The question is, you know, I tend to believe that we talk about the government and we don't realize that it's made up of people, and a lot of those people have families. I would say that there's a small group of people that are in the know, that have the ability to make these decisions, that potentially we'll find out are literally, aligned with evil forces. I mean, like, that may be what we get out of this whole UFO disclosure, is like, here's evil, here's good, here are the people working with them, and we realize that it's not between flesh and blood. But at the end of the day, people won't change unless there's, people are in the streets, and still things in America are still manageable at this point. And they'll do everything they can to prop it up. Um, but that's the unfortunate part, is that if it really is going to happen, and that's the thing about Texan Token. Texan Token separated from this. It benefits from the press, um, but it's not contingent upon Texas independence. But boy, the combination of factors, I think, is going to be really, really good in this bull run for um, independence movements. I mean, we're going to see England. I have a feeling we'll see more, communities come in. Um, So, boy, I tell you, it's an interesting time to be alive.
Definitely is, and we're at an hour and 5 minutes. Does anyone have any closing thoughts? Anything? Any shout outs? Anything you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Subscribe to Identity Blocks.
Mike,
There you
and,
go. Thank you, guys. Thank you, RB.
and
Absolutely.
R2RF on Rumble. But my connection's gone south, so I hope you can all hear me.
We can.
Nope, didn't hear a word, David.
Yeah. And thank you so much, Identity Block, for coming on stream. It's always a pleasure to have you here with us. Glad we were finally able to get together.
Yeah,
Thank
good
you.
stuff.
Thank you for having me. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I'm all over the place, so I try to be in like on Twitter Spaces, on Telegram, or do my little streams. So like anything that I can talk about, I've been talking about crypto taxes, regulation, anything that can help us bring DeFi to the everyone's size. I think that we've been doing just like Harvey was saying, like we kind of just been sitting down waiting on all these like regulations that Tom Emmer is going to pass or Davidson is going to pass or Ward Davidson. And I think that we need to start protecting ourselves and taking a stand. So thank you guys for doing what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will be back next Sunday with another episode of TEXAN Tailgate. So just want to say thank you to everybody for coming on stream tonight. And I hope everyone has a great night.
See you guys.
Later.